Medicine at Midnight
By
by
Foo
the Foo
Fighters.
Fighters.
9 songs, 36 minutes long. Their first album in about 4 years. I think their last one was in 2017 that we reviewed, and that one was utter absolute garbage, dog shit.
Yeah, so I listened to a very interesting Foo Fighters review that we did in episode 18/19 of Audioface, because you were doing a triathlon the week that Foo Fighters was released. So Tammy and I reviewed it.
Right.
And then we asked for your opinions on it slightly the episode afterwards. Yeah. And Tammy and I's opinion as people who didn't listen to Foo Fighters that much was like ultimately sort of Uncle Rocky, but just like not moving forward from the sound or even the premise of the band and what it is, considering it's had 25 years to exist, basically. Yes. And your opinion was that like, yeah, essentially that. And so there's definitely something they could have done better. We were hoping they would do better, moving off of Concrete and Gold in 2017 to this. I'd like to know what you think.
This is way better than Concrete and Gold for sure. There's actually a lot of substance in the album that is decent. It doesn't start off good at all. Making a Fire is not a good opening track to me. It's like, out of all of the tracks, it's funny, that's the most Uncle Rocky is the opening track. And I going into it, because I heard the single, there's a couple of singles or a little, like Shame Shame, the second song, I heard a little bit before, so I knew that song going in, but then starting off with Making a Fire, I think was a bad decision. In that regard, I just set it off on the wrong tone. And I was like, okay, it's going to be Rocky or Uncle Rocky, so let's see what happens.
Uncle Rocky Road.
Yeah, but then Shame Shame right after it is actually a decent track, and I think it's kind of like a return to form in that regard, because it's putting in their solid rock elements, obviously, of the Foo Fighters, staying true to themselves, but doing a little bit of trying a little bit different stuff within the constraints of rock. Nothing like spectacular or anything, but it's a decent Foo Fighters track. I think it's some of these tracks in the album are some of the best things that they've had in almost a decade, I like to say.
Yeah.
So
I really dig the chorus of Shame Shame. I think, like I said, like if you like Foo Fighters, you're going to like Foo Fighters because they're, some people call it quiet loud, but it's just like a very energetic sound almost all the time.
Yeah.
And I think, okay, you can do that, but over time, music exists that's not energetic, so maybe try doing some of that and spinning your sound to that. And there were little glimpses when they did that here, because another one of my complaints of Concrete and Gold is that it didn't seem to stop at a tempo.
It's literally just at here the entire time, and it doesn't move at all, and that's the issue. It's just full gas 24/7.
And like, Pop, I'm really proud you can do that still. But like,
but we have examples of other rock groups, like Incubus example. I think it's the golden standard of Trust Side Fall B, of what a rock group can do that have been around since the 90s and how they can evolve and make good music. And Foo Fighters, this is much better effort. There's another track I really like after Cloud Spotter called Waiting on a War. And that's actually, there's a lot of good substance in the lyrics of that track too.
Yeah.
Where I like it, where it said, I've been waiting for war since I was a kid with a toy gun. So it's like almost a little bit about the misconceptions and stuff that growing up as a kid about it, and like the over-romanticization that you see in America of war. And it's actually a good track, and it's an acoustic, and it's a little bit softer and stuff. And I think this is where they shine with Foo Fighters, especially where they have more acoustic stuff, more acoustic guitar, and more of the vocals are prevalent, and it's not just in your face rock the whole time. It's more softer. That's where I think they shine. And this is definitely one of their better tracks that they've written as well.
Yeah, I think I liked the top half of this album more than the second half. And I wish they would have made this. You're really riding the line between whether this is a drop or an album or not. I'd say this is an album just based on the context of who the Foo Fighters
It is an album because it's 9 tracks, 36 minutes long. If they got rid of like 2 songs in here, then it would have been more of a drop. And I think it actually would have been very, very good.
It would have been much better.
Yeah, I think there's still too much stuff in here that was not that great. It's like Making a Fire, you could get rid of that track at the beginning. And I think like
I would get rid of most of the last half of the album, because even by Holding Poison, which is hard to do in a like 7th song into a 9-song album, but I was starting to kind of like get exhausted of like the all noise at once rock music, like ballad thing. Like, you've been doing this shit literally your entire existence as a band, and your older attempts at this shit were better because it was like a novel at that time. So I just want them to...
And the thing too is some of their older stuff, like their best song still to me is Everlong, and that's that soft rock. That soft, I want to say soft rock, but the softer rock. It's not always in your face. It's more like an introspective, deeper dive into someone and everything.
Yeah.
Which you have hints of that throughout the album. So there's some good in there. There's still some stuff where they still are Uncle Rocky, but it's such a better effort than their previous album. So it's decent.
Yeah, it's not quite the like returns to form that we had last year, where it was like
Oh no,
rock bottom to just like soaring highs. But this is a step in the right direction. This is several steps in the right direction,
Yeah.
but they're like kind of several tiny steps.
Yeah, agreed.
Arbitrary scale this week, as we've alluded to a little bit, are heavily shorted stocks. Stocks that were heavily shorted in the markets back during the whole like GameStop saga thing. Whichever one you want to pick, whatever one you want to do it. Arbitrary scale, that's how it goes. For me, this is BlackBerry.
Damn, I was gonna say BlackBerry.
Used to be Research in Motion. They have a
never forget.
Speaking of Research in Motion, they have a lot of standing real estate that's going unused by the Irvine Spectrum. Apparently.
Wait, really?
I don't know. I was driving by and I saw like a large BlackBerry building. I'm like, that's a waste of real estate,
super
buddy.
waste of real estate. It's an empty building right there.
An empty building by the 405 in Irvine, California, for your corporate headquarters. For your Canadian company, that's a little rough.
Right.
But yeah, that'll be us. It's a little step in the right direction. But
exactly, but it's not. Yeah, it's not enough.
Like when BlackBerry started making Android phones.
Exactly. It's a step in the right direction, but it's not enough.